A 17-year-old girl has been granted the right to die, making her the first minor in Belgian history to be euthanized under new laws. So just to give you a little bit of background, there was a new law in 2014 in Belgium that said that all ages had the option of euthanasia should they elect to do so. So the chair of Belgium's Federal Control and Evaluation Committee on Euthanasia said that the minor was 17 and a local doctor had reported the case to his committee last week, but there are no other details on the specific case, so let's not even speculate about what the situation was. So in 2002, Belgium became one of 3 countries now that have legalized euthanasia, and then they amended that law so that the euthanasia is available for people of all ages in the country. In an email, the statement from the Belgian law defined euthanasia as a very strict process, so this isn't something that happens easily. Minors must be conscious and they must be able to make rational decisions when they ask for assisted death, and also psychologists and psychiatrists must be consulted and the parents must give their permission. And also to give you a little bit of background about how this has affected Belgium as a country, since 2013, there has been a rise in cases of euthanasia from around 1,000 to 8,752 according to official records. So Hasan, I want to kind of get your take on this. And I know euthanasia is such a large topic to break down, but how do you feel?
No, one of my favorite subjects.
Belgium
to discuss.
Right, but let's agree that it's a very nuanced subject. It's certainly not a black or white issue.
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. How do you feel Belgium is handling euthanasia and doctor-assisted suicide?
First of all, from a completely pragmatic perspective, and this is devoid of any sort of emotion, I fully support euthanasia for other reasons aside from the fact that they are ending a life that is tormented, they're ending pain basically, and it's great. And that reason, the other reason why I support it is because, I mean, we're already seeing an overpopulation problem in the world, and if people want to end their lives from a completely pragmatic, cold, and emotionless standpoint, that serves a utilitarian purpose.
So what would you say to someone that says, no, we should not be playing God, you are put onto this earth, we're not allowed to take a life, that's not our responsibility, that's up to a higher power, that's up to the laws of nature.
Oh, well, you're talking to someone who doesn't believe, who doesn't subscribe to any sort of organized religion.
Right, well, take religion out of it. What if people just say, no, it's the cycle of life?
But that's where it drives from.
Okay, well, but there are some atheists who have said, no, just let the cycle of life go.
Okay,
as someone from Belgium, I've read a lot on euthanasia and assisted suicide and how people from my country perceive these laws, because I had a very different notion of it when...
Well, you must understand that it still comes from that, just like you said, playing God, as in it's like almost this deterministic standpoint where everything is laid out for us from because of a higher power. Everything is laid out ahead of us. And breaking that cycle is going against the will of this higher power, whether you want to call it God or Allah or anything else. And therefore, and because of that, it's also very sinful to do so. In all of the holy books, it's one of the worst sins that you can commit, right? That is the true purpose behind making euthanasia illegal for centuries, and the true reason why people are against it. It still comes from old scripture.
Okay, well, let's take God out of it.
Okay, but even when
people say it's not okay to take a life. What is your response to that? It's not. I don't believe in anything. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any higher power. I just do not think it is right to take a life. It is not my responsibility. It's not. It shouldn't fall on me. It shouldn't fall on doctors. It's not for me to say. It's not for anyone to say. It's the course of our natural lives have to run their absolute course.
So that's a straw man. The argument you're presenting to me is a logical fallacy, because that's not the concept. The concept isn't a person taking another person's life. The real concept is a person saying, I'm done with this, I want to take my own life, and then having access to a service that can provide them with this. I promise you, by the way, in like the next 50 to 100 years, euthanasia will be a non-issue. Like, people will 100%, like, I think there was a Futurama, there's like little Easter eggs in Futurama that I love. And one of them is suicide booths, where you could just walk into a booth, like a telephone booth, and then boop, press a button and kill yourself. So and I mean, something a little bit, something close to that will happen in the next 100 years.
So as a follow-up, do you think that it's okay to have to consult doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists? Do you think that's necessary, or do you think it should just, okay, so you do think that there is a certain protocol that needs to be taken?
Especially for people under the age of 18, and especially because some people aren't mentally fit. And some people are going to possibly not feel in the right state of mind when they make this really important decision to end their life. Therefore, you need to carefully analyze every single instance of euthanasia and make sure that they are completely committed to this and that they're not ending their life because, again, like I said, this is a concept I've debated over and over. It's one of my favorite subjects. Like an argument that they present against euthanasia always for minors specifically is, well, when you're a teenager and you have hormones and you're going through a lot of emotions, what's to stop a 16-year-old from wanting to kill him or herself when he falls in love and then his girlfriend like cheats on him or his boyfriend breaks up with her? What's to stop that from happening? This is exactly that. There needs to be protocols. There needs to be certain measures set in place to ensure that that doesn't happen. Because that is excessive. And I don't agree with that, even from that utilitarian, cold perspective that I mentioned earlier. That does not serve a utilitarian
I do think
purpose.
it's important to note that we don't know the circumstances of the 17-year-old who elected to end their life. And I think it's important that we sort of just keep an open mind, not even speculate on that, because we don't know if it was physical or if it was mental or whatever sort of distress they were in that caused them to want to make this,
I was
drastic.
Laying out a hypothetical scenario, worst case scenario possibly.
Right, I'm just saying that in this specific case, you know, we don't know what sort of physical pain they were in. And to me, that is where I empathize the most. There was a case in Belgium where someone who was described as, in news articles, a healthy 24-year-old girl who was granted the right to die. And this took place a couple years ago. And I remember reading through what was available to the public about that specific case, and I remember thinking, God, that's so messed up. You know, she was a healthy 24-year-old girl. I can't believe this. You know, what a waste of a life. And then, of course, you have to step back, and as I've come into it now, it's just simply not my place to say. And also, what is healthy? I mean, what if she was truly just in so much mental distress and just there was some, you know, she really was struggling. I have to trust in the process that the Belgian government has laid out and that they've made very clear is strict. But I do think that I have to take a little bit of pause as well in the rise of reported cases of euthanasia since 2013. That gives me a little bit of pause. But,
yeah, but if you
maybe,
flip the
Hasan,
script, that's a good thing because 8,000 people have been rid of their pain.
Right, but maybe it's also, I was going to say maybe it's just the case of there are that many people who are in so much pain that are now relieved of that pain. So again, I think it comes down to who am I to dictate what someone else is going to do with their life. And you know, at least if it is doctor assisted, I'd like to think that they are comforted, or I don't know.
That's why this is good, because when you look at like Jack Kevorkian, for example, very famous doctor who did numerous assisted suicides in the United States and served prison time for it. Like in that case, he's a very good doctor, and he had devised this way to do it and fly under the radar while he was doing it. However, like you don't want to have back alley abortions, and you don't want to have back alley euthanizations, because like that could prove to be even more dangerous. So it's great that the government is tackling this issue head on and setting up precautions, setting up certain measures to protect the citizens when they're making this incredibly important decision about their lives. You understand what I'm saying? It's like it's better because if you're in your last stage of cancer and you're in tremendous amounts of pain, if we're going to talk about the worst case possible scenarios on one side, let's talk about the other. You don't want to live on with your life, or you have Alzheimer's and you have like a DNR set up for yourself already, and you know that there's a certain
do
point
not
in your life.
resuscitate.
So you know that there's going to come a certain point in your Alzheimer's where you are no longer yourself, and you don't want your loved ones to see you that way, because are you really yourself when you're stripped of the entirety of your mental capacity? And you make this decision when you're fully healthy. Maybe you want to save your friends and yourself from that trouble, and you want to end your life before that happens.
Yeah, it's such, guys, it's such a complicated discussion, but I'm glad we got to air a little bit of that out today. But we want to hear from you in the comments section below. What do you think about euthanasia? What do you think about euthanasia of minors? Were you familiar with this concept before? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm Hasan Piker. That's Hasan Piker. I'm Grace Baldridge, and we'll see you next time on Pop Trigger.